Jay here from Stretford, Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in the studio. We are live, so get involved in all the chat and the comments. We're going to be talking about all the latest Manchester United news. And as always, it ain't good news. It's never good news when it comes to Manchester United at the minute. We're going to be talking about the latest round of cuts by Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos. It seems like bacon butties are off the menu in the canteen. He's cutting back on the staff food. He's cutting back on staff as well. So we're going to be getting into all that. Plus, we've got the usual transfer rumours. Plus, we've got some other stories regarding protests that are planned about what's going on at Old Trafford. Also, looking a little bit into the nuts and bolts of why these cuts are taking place. We all know the root of all the problems are the Glazers and the debt we're in, but we'll be getting into Ineos' response and what they're doing to try and fix it, whether it is the right approach, whether it's not, what the papers are saying, what the fans are saying, but most important, what you guys are saying. I know you guys are the fans. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about this transformation plan then. This was the announcement yesterday, wasn't it? We talked a little bit about this on the Paddock podcast. I think this sort of came out just before we went live, and it says here, Manchester United is to transform its corporate structure as part of a series of additional measures to improve the club's financial sustainability and enhance operational efficiency. That feels like a proper ChatGPT comment statement, doesn't it? Like just a load of almost gobbledygook there. The transformation plan aims to return the club to profitability after 5 consecutive years of losses during since 2019. This will create a more solid financial platform from which the club can invest in men's and women's football success and improved infrastructure. Look, we know we've got £1 billion worth of debt because of Glazer ownership. That is the burning issue at Manchester United. All the debt we're in because of the Glazers. Now, it's not been helped by some of our mismanagement, which again goes down to Glazers. When it comes to transfers, when it comes to some of the signings we've made, they've been pretty woeful over the last 10, 11 years in particular, since Fergie retired. 12 years now, and it's since Fergie retired. I can count on one hand the amount of transfers we've made where you can say that was definitely a good transfer. We've wasted so much money. We've overspent on so many players. Look at the current squad. Look at the players we've got in a minute. And look at where some of those players are. We spent 72 million quid on Jadon Sancho. He's playing for Chelsea. We spent 80 million quid on Anthony. He's playing for Real Betis. That is not good management. That is not good transfer policy, right? It's shambolic. Now, the debt is the overriding factor, and the Glazers must take responsibility for that. They are the root of all evil when it comes to Manchester United's financial problems. But also, you look at some of this mismanagement with transfers as well. It doesn't help. It doesn't help when you're spending hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds on players who ain't good enough for Manchester United. That's a big issue as well. So, you're dealing with all this mess. I sympathise on that front with Ineos having to fix it. However, some of the decisions that Ineos are making, I don't have sympathy or empathy or understanding of. They seem almost pointless to me. You may disagree. Get involved in the chat in the comments. And the argument would be all these little decisions do add up. The cutting the staff bonuses, the cutting the Christmas bonus, the cutting the travel to the FA Cup final, the recent changes we've seen to the staff canteen. Do they add up to anything that's really going to make a difference? Maybe, but it's hard to argue that when you see the amount of money we've wasted on 4.1 million on bringing Dan Ashworth in and then sacking him within a few months. That's not great, is it? Regardless of how much credit you give them for acting swiftly when they realised he wasn't the right man for the job, the fact they brought him in the first place and lauded him as being the right man for the job makes you wonder about some of the decisions that Ineos are making. Let's talk about Berrada as well. I think there's an article here. This is an article from Laurie Whitwell. This is a tweet, I should say, from Laurie Whitwell. It says, Berrada told staff that cost cutting was based on Europa League involvement for next 4 years. Football department to be affected, an area Dan Ashworth resisted. A 30-minute meeting despite 1.5 hours scheduled. So you can see that. We're going to be chatting to Laurie. I think he's in next week for Inside United, so we'll be getting him on that and probably the latest drama to engulf the club that happens in the next week or so before we do get him in. So, look, the crux of the story there is that the football department, we're here that we're going to cut scouting, but the response to that is we're going to be more data driven. We're going to use analysis a little bit more. So you're going to need fewer scouts. I mean, we'll see what happens there. It does worry me when I hear the idea of us having fewer scouts when we're sat in the 15th in the table. I'm not going to lie to you. but we'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat and the comments. Adam says, Ineos knew who they were getting into bed with. Simon Andrews says, £5,000 to fix the wheelchair lift in East End, and it broke again midway through the game. Kenny says, wonder what soup is being offered. Won't be minestrone. Pumpkin. Heaven's Soul says, if the Juve rumour about Anthony are true, we may make a profit on him. LMAO, yeah, I don't think we're going to make a profit on him. Loads of people have missed you, sorry, who said morning. Jacoya Trot, Colin Couple-Ditch, Brian Casey, Maurice Marshall, loads of people there. Santa Notch says, the next cut is the deepest. BMW Racing 1974 says, morning, Jay. We will be able to build a new stadium soon with all the savings from the current round of cuts. And then ... I think he's been a little bit sarcastic there. Let's talk about the canteen then. Let's talk about these latest cuts. Man United to close staff canteen. Simon Stone here in the BBC reported on this. It's been reported everywhere. I think Jamie Jackson had this story as well. Manchester United to close its staff canteen and instead offer employees a free piece of fruit as part of more cost-cutting measures at the club. I mean, you get better than that in prison. This is just depressing, isn't it? It says a staff meeting is due to take place. We had the staff meeting. We know what's going on. Cuts in the canteen. I mean, it's just... I understand cuts, right? I understand you've got to do things differently. I get it. Even though I don't like it, it annoys me when people say, I can't get my head around this. I can't understand it. You can understand something without agreeing with it, yeah? And I can understand this even though I don't agree with it. But the problem I have with it is when you look at the amount of money we're wasting elsewhere, you think, well, how much difference is this making? Why are you not focusing on the big problems at Manchester United? Which is why we're paying so much in wages, why we're wasting money bringing people in that we don't need and then sacking them. That's the burning issue here, not whether someone's having beans on toast in the canteen. Just on this, there's a comparison here. I'm not trying to dig out Casemiro, but he's a good example because we're paying him £375k a week to more or less sit on the bench. It says here in the Mirror, Man United acts staff meals and closed canteen. It will pay Casemiro's wages for 3 weeks. That is a good example of the mismanagement that's gone on in this football club. Now, everyone, when we bought Casemiro, was happy with that. I'm not going to pretend I was like, why have we brought Casemiro, a guy that had won 5 Champions League? But look at the package we offered. Look at the financial package. Look at the length of the deal. It made no sense. And now we're suffering because of it. Casemiro basically fell off a bit of a cliff, didn't he? About a year ago. If you remember, people want to try to rewrite history, right? Even that first season, I'm going to get into this. First season, I had this argument with Joe and other people like, oh, you know, he had a great first season. He had a good 6 months. Let's not forget, in that first season, he played 25 league games, yeah? He was suspended for 8 games. He got 2 red cards and a yellow card, right? Then he missed the beginning of the season anyway. When he came in, he was coming off the bench for the first few games against Southampton, against Leicester, against Arsenal. Then towards the end of the season, he missed a few more games. So it was a good season on the whole. I'm not saying it wasn't, especially the Carabao Cup finally helps us win a trophy. But we're paying him £375k a week and we're paid £70 million in transfer fee for that good spell in that season. It doesn't make any sense. And now we're suffering for it. Now we're trying to sort of, you know, justify it or explain it in terms of, you know, how much it costs or how much his wages are in comparison to these cuts we're making. It doesn't look great, does it? And that's not his fault. I don't blame a player for signing a piece of paper if it's going to give you a load of money. It's just poor management. It's just short-sightedness from the club. And this is what we need to fix. It's not just about what's going on in the canteen, what's going on with staff bonuses. Even cutting the staff, I know long-term that is going to make a big difference. But when you are paying massive wages out, you're going to be on a hiding to nothing, especially when you're sat in 15th in the league. I mean, what is going on there? Graham Allen says, they've been trying to get rid of Casemiro for 7 to 8 months. He's got a contract, so we need to pay him. I agree. I don't blame Casemiro. He's on a contract. Why should he walk away from it? He says he wants to stay. We gave him that contract. He's every right to see it out. It's our fault for giving it. And now he's suffering. And you can't say, well, no one expected it. No one expected that Casemiro would decline as he got into his mid-30s. Did they not? Does every player not do that? Does a player like Casemiro, would you not expect in a level of that? It's poor management, in my opinion. It's poor. When I say management, I'm just talking about Erik ten Hag. I mean the people above him as well. I think someone needed to be a little bit more long-sighted. Think about the long-term goals rather than just the short-term goals. Whitterbird, who's been a member of the academy for 25 months, thanks for that, Vic, says Ineos improved Carrington 50 million with the finances the way they are, which makes me think they knew the outcomes. So they must have had some understanding here. Paul H says the Glazers are a disgrace. Agree. Akash K says, Jay, won't be surprised if this is the summer where the club pay players off to leave. That can happen. GC says, to build a stadium, the banks need to see us profitable. To just pay the interest and not the principal on our debt, the banks need to see a profit. So again, this is what the sort of the statement from Berrada and the club are saying. You know, we're not profitable, we need to be profitable. Okay. Let's talk about 1958. The 1958 did a tweet. We've had Steve from the 1958 on. We've had Chris as well from 1958. There's a protest plan for the Arsenal game. I'm sure you guys will be there if you can get down there. If not, I'm sure you can highlight it on your social media. So it's just a reminder that the club paid 33 million in interest payments on the Glazer bad debt. I think this is in the last financial report. Not overall, it's been a lot more than that. No mention of that in their transformation plan, which is the statement, part of the statement I just read out. Everyone knows why our great club is in dire straits, and it isn't because of the canteen or Joyce the cleaner. Obviously, a reference to some of the staff cuts we've seen. Once again, turning a blind eye to the root cause of everything and treating us like we are thick. See you all on the 9th of March. Your debt, not ours. The 9th of March is the Arsenal game. There's going to be a protest at Old Trafford there. Get down and support the 1958 if you can. And if not, if you can't get down there, you can always, like I said earlier, support it on social media. We know what is going on. We know why we're in this mess. We know it's the debt, the Glazers. That is the issue here at the club. The question is, for me, do you agree with the steps that Ineos are taking to try and fix it? The 58 there are obviously unimpressed with the fact that the debt has not been referenced. And whilst I understand where the 58 are coming from, of course I do, I do get why the statement didn't reference the debt, because the Glazers are still majority shareholders. So whoever's issuing them statements might be reluctant to say, well, look, it's the Glazers. But anyone with half a brain can see that. Losing patience. Let's talk about this one. What have we got here? Oh, sorry, Sheikh Jassim. This is the reason the Glazers refuse to sell Man United. Sheikh Jassim is trying to take over stance emerges. This is in the Express. This has been done a few times, right? But it's come up a few times, a bit more recently, because obviously everything's horrible. The team are rubbish. Ineos are making all these unpopular decisions. People again are looking at Sheikh Jassim. Should we have gone with Sheikh Jassim? Why didn't Sheikh Jassim come in? If Sheikh Jassim would have bought us, we'd all be watching Mbappe and Ireland playing for us now, and we'd be sat in a gold-plated stadium. The issue is, and this is the story that's been doing the rounds for about a year now, if not longer, was that Sheikh Jassim couldn't prove he had the funds. That was the big problem. So it doesn't look like his bid was viable. Now, whether you were pro Sheikh Jassim or not, it almost seems relevant. If he couldn't prove he had the funds, then and the Glazers weren't going to sell to him, then it seems like that deal was dead in the water. It certainly seems dead in the water to me now. I don't think Sheikh Jassim is going to come in and suddenly have all the money and buy Manchester United when he could have bought us 18 months ago, whenever it was, and he didn't. I just feel that as the club gets in more and more difficulties, people look to other options and people look at Sheikh Jassim as another option. I'm not so sure it was ever going to happen. You may disagree. Andy G says, honestly think that Jassim was AI generated. Rafa D says, why are all these photos of Sheikh Jassim the exact same one? Is he even a real person? Has anyone seen him in real life? It was really weird that, because usually when you've got someone who's at the front of a takeover bid or trying to buy a club the size of Manchester United, there'll be thousands of pictures of them. There'll be, loads of pictures of them, because they'll have been at events, they'll have been at media events, they'll have been at just corporate events, there'll just be general pictures of them. But there wasn't with Sheikh Jassim. And some of the pictures did look a little bit AI generated. I think there was an article in, I want to say Forbes, maybe I'm getting it wrong, where they had a picture of him at a meeting, I think for Credit Suisse. I think he worked there for a little while. I want to say worked, I don't think he was putting the graft in. I think it was more of an appointment, really. But it was like, wow, there's a different picture of Sheikh Jassim. How amazing. Do you remember that the one with him in a United top was like half cut out, which was a bit weird. But yeah, regardless of whether he exists, I think he does exist, by the way. But regardless, he ain't the Manchester United owner. He had his chance to buy us. He didn't. It looks like he couldn't even prove it. I think we all just need to move on from Sheikh Jassim. I'm sort of sick of the debate. There's another story here about Xavi. I think this is about United. I mean, where's this from? Sorry, Eve.
It's from Court Offside.
Court Offside.
Referencing a journalist from Spain.
Yeah, it's referencing a journalist from Spain. And this is sort of talking about how Man United are now considering making a change at the end of the season, with former Barcelona manager Xavi being considered for the job, according to Alex Pintanel. I'm talking about it because it's been reported, but it's not that credible to me. listen, we spoke about this on the podcast last night, and I want to set my stall out here. I think United need to stick with Ruben Amorim. And I'm almost at a point where, regardless of results, this season especially, give him a summer, and he needs more than one transfer window, by the way. Manchester United, we ain't got any money. We're not going to go out in the summer and buy 7 new players, which is probably there or thereabouts what we need to get challenging at the very top again. We need a lot of players. That ain't going to happen. There's a good chance we have to go budget style in the summer. We spoke about this in the news yesterday. Maybe a player like Jonathan David who's out of contract in the summer. Maybe someone like, I'm not suggesting it's going to happen or even it should, but maybe someone like Angel Gomez who's out of contract in the summer. Maybe these are the types of players that Manchester United are looking at because we ain't got any dough. There's talk of us going for Giovanni Kenda, who's around 35 million. That makes sense. We need Marcus Rashford probably to go on a permanent move. Jadon Sancho, I think, will go on a permanent move. Anthony probably needs to go on a permanent move as well. Perhaps you have to make a decision on someone like Alejandro Garnacho to bring in money to make transfers. But I don't see United spending big in the summer at all, which means it's going to be even longer term before Manchester United are going to be fixed. So Ruben Amorim needs time. Now, what Ruben Amorim has done, he's come in and he's gone in and he's gone, right, this is my system, this is my style. We are sticking to these tactics. We are sticking to this formation of 3-4-2-1. And we've had more downs than ups with it, but he's sticking to that. And I respect that and I get it. What Erik ten Hag did was he came in, he had his system, and after 2 games, we'd lost them both. At home to Brighton and away at Brentford, 4-0. And he changed. If you remember that Liverpool game, all of a sudden we weren't playing out from the back. We were going long. David De Gea sticking his foot through it. You had the likes of Rashford and Jadon Sancho, I think, played that game as well, running on to the end of things. We got a result. And it was like we never really saw the Ajax system that had worked for Erik ten Hag at Manchester United. Now, ten Hag had some success. He won 2 trophies, obviously finished 3rd in his first season, but ultimately he got sacked. What Ruben Amorim's done is he's done it the different way. He's gone, look, this is my tactics. These are my tactics. This is my system. We are going to stick with it, regardless of the results. I think that's a good idea. I understand it. I get it. And I think we need to stick with this manager long term. Long term doesn't mean till this time next year. It means give him a few years to fix this mess. This isn't Arne Slot coming into Liverpool who's just got Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk sat in his squad. This is a manager coming in who's got a lot of players who ain't up to it. He's also had a lot of injuries as well. So I couldn't be more emphatic in my support for Ruben Amorim, what he's trying to do. I really couldn't. And I just hope Ineos are the same. I hope they don't Dan Ashworth it and panic in the summer. So I'm not putting much weight in this article, if I'm being brutally honest, but I do have my concerns that Ineos might not show the patience that myself and other fans are showing. Aussie Abroad says, LFC did sit-ins, not walkouts, and it got owners out. We've done sit-ins after the Nottingham Forest game last season, you remember? We did a sit-in, I took part in it. That could be an option. Listen, there's lots of different ways you can protest. I think the main thing is to protest. Let the owners know you're not happy with it. I think doing nothing, for me, just seems literally pointless. Hojlund, let's talk about Rasmus Hojlund. He's going through it, isn't he, Rasmus Hojlund? This is from Sammy Luckers. I think this was doing the rounds yesterday, to be fair, but I don't know if we mentioned it, so I'm going to mention it now. This was a story saying that basically the coaching staff and people are losing at Manchester United are losing faith in Rasmus Hojlund. He's gone 16 games without a goal for Man United and has tallied only 2 Premier League goals all season. I don't want to stick the knife in too much because, like I say, this is a story from yesterday and it's been doing the rounds, and I feel like Rasmus Hojlund, everyone's on his case, and the kid's obviously suffering. I say kid, he's 22, but I'm 40 odd, so he's still a youngster. There's now talk of maybe Chido Obi should be starting against Ipswich. Me and Joe did a video on that, a bit of a debate. Should he start against Ipswich? Is it time to put your faith in a 17-year-old over a player that cost you 72 million quid? I don't know. That was kind of what I said on that chat me and Joe had. I can see the pros and cons with both, to be honest with you, but it's not going great for Rasmus Hojlund, and I just wonder what's going to happen with him long term, because Ruben Amorim didn't bite him. Ruben Amorim's giving him a chance, and he's not really delivering. Now, you can argue, and there's some merit to it, that he's not getting the chances that he needs in terms of the XG and all that, and we're not creating chances. You can also argue, and I think 2 things can be true at the same time, he isn't performing as well as he needs to be. I don't think he's playing well, and I don't think the team are playing well around him. It's not a great combo. Stephanie Griffith says, over 800 watching, not even 100 likes. Good point, Stephanie. Thank you. Please hit that like button. Wesley Revens says, Amorim has put faith in youth before at Sporting. Kenda is only 17, great point. Kenda's the same age as Chido Obi, so maybe Chido Obi will come into the team. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I think more than likely Chido's going to start on the bench against Ipswich, but we'll wait and see. Akash K says, Jay, you know what is ironic here? Woodward and the Glazers pushed this whole performance on the pitch. Doesn't matter narrative. Look at the mess now, but let's blame Ineos anyway. Shake my head. I think you can, like I keep saying this, you can go back to the Glazers. It's the Glazers that are the issue here. But there's nothing wrong with questioning some of the decisions that Ineos have made. I said this when Sir Jim Ratcliffe came in. So no matter who the owner is at Manchester United, as a channel and as a fan and as someone who's got a relatively big platform, I think we have almost a duty to always question them, to always hold them to account, to speak truth to power. I don't think this is an MUTV where you can just go, everything they do is wonderful, everything's great, even if you don't agree with it. Now, you may agree with certain things, you may not, but I think we should always question them. And I think you say, okay, what's the reason behind this? Is this the right idea? Do I think it's the right idea? And if not, I'm going to voice that opinion. And with some of these decisions that Ineos have made, despite the fact I get they've inherited an absolute shambles, I still think some of them seem a little bit pointless to me. Get involved with the chat in the comments and let us know. Kamikaze Tika says, have I been muted? No. Other news. Dan Ashworth, remember him? The legend that is Dan Ashworth, eh? Absolute United legend. Takes his first job since being brutally sacked by Man United as humiliated ex-sporting director, lands surprising role. He's going to work in cricket, I think. Where's he gone to? Sorry, it does say here. A cricket club. Keep going. We'll get there in the end. I mean, there's a lot of nonsense here. You keep going. There we go. Warwickshire. I honestly think, right, Man United just exist at the minute to make our rivals laugh. He's taking an advisory role with Warwickshire County Cricket Club. There's nothing wrong with that. And a man's got to eat. I don't blame him for taking a job. I'm not having a dig at Warwickshire County Cricket Club. They might be, I don't follow cricket. They're very good. But it says a lot, doesn't it, really? The guy that we lauded as being almost like this genius who's going to come in and save Manchester United. We waited a few months for him. We get him in. We spend £4.5 million getting rid of him after a few months. And then he goes to work in cricket. It's just, yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? We're just a bit of a joke in a minute. Honestly, I'm depressing myself. It's not all doom and gloom, right? Trust me. We are Manchester United. We will prevail. It's always darkest before the dawn. I'm thinking of all the cliches I can. Yeah, we'll be okay. We've been through worse. Yeah, the main thing is we're in this together, yeah? Me and you. Yes, you. Make sure, if you're not doing so already, you are subscribing to the channel. We want to get to 800,000 subscribers. Look, we're almost there, man. Come on. Subscribe to the channel. We can make it. Yeah, let's get to 800,000 subscribers. What do you think will come first? Manchester United winning the Premier League or us getting to 800,000 subscribers? It's close, isn't it? It's a debatable one, that. Going to be back later on. We've got loads of content coming up. We've got the preview for Manchester United versus Ipswich. I'm not going to say it's a relegation six-pointer yet, but we're not that far off, are we? Keep losing football matches, so we got that to look forward to. Also, Stephen Howson's going to be on the channel as well. He's going to be chatting to Joe Smith. He's going to have that video as well, so make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. I'm Jay Motty. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.